almost everyone I talk to, and this has been in the public realm, so this isn't like my secret sources, but the people I talk to say the same thing. Members of the party, elected officials, as strategists, activists, donors, the nominee should be and will be a governor or an outsider. It's not going to be a member of Congress. First of all, Nomi, are you hearing that? Do you feel that's true? That that's the right thing and that's what the party will gravitate towards, or not necessarily?
A little bit of traditional thinking. I think, this is what people have been saying for years. I was on the Bernie campaign, so this was what we dealt in. And then all of the Bernie candidates that came out of his campaign. It's funny, John mentions the C-SPAN moment, because a few years ago, I was on this commission for the DNC, and C-SPAN was there for the final meeting, and they had never filmed anything, and I didn't even know where they were there. And I dropped an F-bomb in the final meeting, and it went totally viral, like millions and millions of views on C-SPAN. And the first call I got was from a political consultant asking me if I wanted to run for office, because there was potential to raise a lot of money out of that video. And I was like, and I did end up running for office, but not because of that. But it was, that just proves that this is exactly, John, you're totally correct. If you can rail against the establishment, say something raw and coming from the heart and, not manufactured, and what Alex says, keep it sustaining throughout your campaign, I think that serves a great purpose for a campaign. But I think some of these candidates are trying to manufacture those raw moments. Cory Booker, case in point. I commend him for standing up there for that long. He didn't have any demands. He didn't get any other senators to come on stage to come up and do the same thing with him. So it did, at the end of the day, appear to much of the internet as performative. He did raise some money. He did build his list, but you have to sustain that list. And and what I'll add to that, just coming out of the Bernie campaign as well, is the demographics are changing. A lot of these old tactics from 15, 20 years ago that the Democrats have been pushing, more controlled, conservative approaches, you want a moderate with the military background and all that, that may have worked 15, 20 years ago. This next generation, millennials are in their 40s, and Gen Z is going to be coming, into their 30s very soon. And the more traditional voters are sadly aging out. So you're going to have a much younger generation that has grown up through all of the tumult of the last 20 years. And I don't think they want those traditional candidates. I think they want raw candidates who can go after the party in a primary, who can call out the bad guys. And, and it's not just performative anymore. And that's where I think people like Pete Buttigieg and maybe even Wes Moore are going to be struggling a bit, is that they do seem a little bit more packaged than, even if they're younger, than the traditional, that's why Bernie was so effective. There's nothing packaged about him.
Right. Amie, the donors, go ahead, Alex. Go ahead.
Quick question to Nomi and anybody. Could it happen again that let's say it's a younger version of Bernie Sanders? He was the young candidate. He had the young people's support, right? Could that happen again in the Democratic Party? Is the Democratic establishment still strong enough to, if that candidate you're talking about, a new generation appeal, if they seized the party again, could they be stopped?
Well, what we don't have an example of, because 2024 was an incumbent turning into the incumbent vice president. In 2016 and 2020, the Democratic establishment, led by the DNC, rigged the rules, or Bernie would have been the nominee. So we don't know if the current chair will rig the rules.
I don't think he will.
Okay. So if he doesn't, yeah,
he's of our side. So
yeah,
we're now in control.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I'm not sure you're right. I say respectfully. I don't think we know enough. He hasn't really showed his cards on how he wants to set up the nomination process.
Only from personal relationships.
Yeah, understood. But it's possible, given the mood of the country and the party, that if they don't rig the rules, the person closest to Bernie, whether that's AOC or someone else, will be the nominee.
The Democratic Party establishment, as it were, is weaker than it's ever been in my lifetime.
Correct. And mine too, and I'm twice your age.
No, that's not quite true, but maybe a few years older, Mark. But it's never been as weak as it is, and Democratic voters are angry at their party establishment for what they saw, and the smart candidates who are running from the outside will use that wedge and place it in exactly the right place and hammer away at it. So the opportunity for an outsider Democratic candidate right now, I think, is huge. And to Namiki's point, I just want to make a kind of a point about the military background. While that can be helpful, we also watched in our lifetimes Chris LaCivita take John Kerry and turn him into Abby Hoffman,
Yeah.
right? And we saw Tim Walz get turned into Ranger Bob, right? And I mean, so like, if you're coming at it with the military background in the Democratic Party, you better come correct with with what you've got backing you up. And I think that that's not always true for everybody that's worn the uniform. That it's going to be seen, by the Republican side for the Democrats is going to stand back and say, "Oh, I respect their military service." I don't think that's an automatic.
Hey, did you like that conversation? Well, you can be part of the Two-Way community. Join us live for interactive conversations like no other. Go to twoway.tv. You can also watch anytime. Hit the subscribe button and watch our Two-Way clips and full episodes whenever your time allows.